Hello, everyone. My name is Lebo.
Hi, I'm Sheryl.
And I'm married to Sheryl.
And I'm married to Lebo.
And I'm a disciple of
Jesus. So many people have been asking us questions of how it is to live on faith.
So about me and Sheryl, we have been traveling the last 3 years by faith. And it has been a long journey, and we have been facing a lot of challenges. We have faced a lot of trials and hardships. But God has been so faithful to us, and He has helped us through the whole journey that we have had. And they have been so good and so great, and we could not wish for something else than this. But I want to say how we started with it. I want to tell a little bit about the story of how it all began when God spoke to us. So Sheryl and I, before we got married, we wanted to live, for God, and we wanted to serve Him fully and do everything that He called us to do. But we didn't know how it looked like.
So basically, I've never signed up for this. I've never wanted this. I loved the life that I was living. I loved working. I loved my career, and I loved it saving up my money to buy one day my own house. Until I met Lebo, and he showed me a different life. But we talked about it, and we both said before we were getting married, we don't want to live on faith.
We never thought of living by faith. That was not in our wish list at all. We saw other people do it, and we admired them, but it was not in our hearts at all. Especially Sheryl, she didn't want to do it at all.
So I asked him, I said, Lebo, I'm just not that kind of a girl that will just go around without a house or a car. I want to have my house, my car, my security and my comfort. And he said, no, I understand. I also always want to work, and I just want to have our own house, apartment, whatever.
But after getting married, God, He started to speak to us slowly, little by little. And we were actually applying for getting an apartment, and we were applying for jobs and trying to do things to happen. But He closed every single door when it came to job. I'm a filmmaker, and for me to get a job normally is very easy because I have so much experience. I have 15 years of experience in the film making world. But there was just nothing, everything closed. And Sheryl, she had a good education, and she had a good job before, and she was working in the fashion, traveling around in Europe. So she had a good CV, and she applied to, I think, over 70, 80 jobs in Denmark, but there was just no one that even called him one time and said, hey, we want you to come for an interview. And for us it was so strange, and we thought, why is it that every single door is closed? And we just kept trying to apply. At the same time, we were applying for this apartment to get. And as we were waiting, God, one day I had a dream, and in this dream I dreamt where God, He spoke to me with an audible voice, and He said, no, don't take the apartment. Really clear. It was very strange because it felt so real when I heard this voice. As soon as I woke up, 2 minutes later, my dad, he called me, and then he said, you got the apartment. But because I had this dream, I couldn't take it. So I looked at Sheryl's eyes and I said, Sheryl, we cannot take this apartment because I had this dream, and it was so clear that it was God speaking and saying, don't take it. But in my head, I thought maybe because God has a better apartment. So we thought that, and we just said, okay, Dad, we will try to apply for another one and see that God has something else for us. So we applied for another one and waiting for that one. And the same thing happened with that one. I got one more dream. Don't take the apartment. And it was exactly the same way, the same audible voice, don't take the apartment. And I got so confused. I thought, why is it happening the second time? So we didn't take it, and still I didn't get it because I was still waiting and thinking, oh, God has something else then, maybe something bigger. And that's why we have been waiting 3 times now. And so we were waiting again and waiting. And then I got one more dream. The third time, don't take the apartment. And then it just started to become clear.
God spoke to us so clear, and we were both out separately on a prayer walk. And then when we came home, we talked with each other, and we both had the same thing on our heart. We should not continue with seeking for an apartment. God wants us to travel around and share the gospel.
We didn't have any plan B. We didn't have any safety net. We didn't have anything to lean back on. We had no job, we had no money, we had nothing. But we felt really that God said to us, just go, and He will take care of every need that we are in lack of. And so we just started traveling. And I must say it was so scary because it was not in our hearts to do it. It was not in our hearts to to live a lifestyle like this, but we did it because we love God so much more than our own desires, and we know that He is such a good provider, He's such a good Father, and He will take care of everything.
And when I had that conviction in my heart, I knew it was from God, and I had so much faith, and at that moment I knew God is going to provide. But then along the way it was hard. We had struggles, and I remember one time there was a lady, she was sharing a beautiful testimony of how God was providing for the whole family, and it was amazing. And when I heard it, I just thanked her afterwards, and I said, wow, thank you so much for sharing this. This was so beautiful and encouraging for me and for Lebo, and knowing that God will provide. But then suddenly she grabbed in her pocket and she took all the money she had and wanted to give it to me. And I felt so bad, and I said, no, you have a whole family to feed. I will be fine with Lebo. I don't want to have your money. And I did not see it as a blessing from God. So one day God showed to me this whole scene again, because I was praying and I said, God, why every single time have the doors been shut for us? And He said, it's because you have pride, Sheryl, you cannot receive. And when God said it, it's like this, it's not a condemnation, but it's this sweet conviction, but I felt so bad. And I knew it was my mistake, and I prayed and I asked God for forgiveness. And from that moment on, we have received more gifts from people, but it went in such an incredible way. God was so merciful to us, because we really had pride. We just simply couldn't receive. It's just because we have never wanted to live on faith. We have never wanted to lift up gifts from people, and it has been hard for us to think of that there are so many families that are working so hard, and we are young, we are healthy, we can work, so we want to work. That have always been on our hearts. So God was so merciful that He has been giving all these gifts through anonymous people. So sometimes we went to a place and then the person said, hey, by the way, I need to give you some money, and we were like, no, we don't want to receive your money. We still didn't understood and learned to be humble. And then this person was like, no, but I need to give it. And we're like, no, we don't want to receive anything from you. It's like, oh no, it's not from me, it's from somebody else, but the person already sent it to my bank account, so I cannot really keep it in my bank account, so I need to give it to you guys. And it was like, we couldn't do anything than just receive it. And God has been doing it a few times until we finally learned to be humble enough to receive. And now maybe you think, oh wow, so you received the whole time, so it's probably easy. Well, it's not. I'm telling you, it's not. And at one point I even thought that I was really have been growing in my faith in this level, and it have also not always been easy to not have our own place. We have been living basically every single time always with people. And as a married couple, is sometimes it can feel that you're missing your own privacy. But it has been a blessing as well to disciple people. But I remember there was one point that it was really hard for me, and I was crying in the night, and I said, God, I don't know if I can live like this. I know you have called us to do this, but I don't know if I can live like this. And I said, but God, it's nothing compared to the struggles that Jesus did towards the cross, so I can do it. And then I remember we were discipling a couple, and my husband said, Sheryl, it's not the time right now to worry. And I said, I just want to have my own place. It went back and forth with me. I don't know, maybe it's because I'm a girl, I don't know. And I just said, I just really want to have my own place. And then he said, Sheryl, it's not the time to worry now. These people, they are expecting from us, a full 100% focus, and they deserve it. And he said, go to God and pray about it. So I went to God and I said, God, I'm so sorry, but I just want to have my own place. I don't want to go back and not have my own place. I just want to, settle down and work, and that's all I want. That's difficult to ask.
Last year have been really heavy and one of the hardest for us because of course, the pandemic, the COVID-19, which caused a lot of problems. For people like us, Sheryl and I, who travel constantly, it have been such a huge challenge for us to see every single country getting closed down and banned. It's like, okay, God, you call us to do this, but what now? Everything is banned, everything is closed. how can we continue to do this? And we didn't have a job, we didn't have a home, we had nothing to go back to, and we have nothing to go to. So it was kind of like so many worries, so much fear came over us again and again. But I want to say this, amazing things have actually happened since COVID-19 came, because we have actually been traveling much more than we did before. And it just shows how good God is, how faithful He is. And you know, we could also just have stayed back and being in the country and say, okay, we have to be careful, we have to stay home, like many Christians have done, being in fear. But if you think of Jesus, if Jesus would have been here on earth today, how would He have done it? Would He have just been going back to His house and just closed down the door and just stayed home for the next, I don't know how long time, until the pandemic was gone, and then after that start doing the ministry again? Of course not. If Jesus would keep on going and doing what He would do, why would we not do it? You know, God is always working, and God is always, you know, using us, and He wants constantly people to come to Him, and He wants to save people.
But I'm really getting better in it. But it has not always been easy. Sometimes I thought, okay, now my faith have really been growing at the level of being able to receive and work for God and live 100% on faith. But then when God spoke to us to go to Latin America around 6 months ago, He spoke really clearly to my husband to go to Colombia. And I had already peace about it before we even left Europe. So I already had my backpack carry-on with me to somehow had the idea of that we would go to Latin America. And then just before the day before we were about to leave, my husband was looking on some Airbnbs where we could stay the first month. And then he saw a place, what he really liked. And he said, Cheryl, it looks amazing. It has a little desk. It was a private room in a house. And I was looking up hostels and thinking, well, let's, you know, keep the budget low. And it was not that it was much more, but for me, I was really thinking of simply just a bed and that's it, shared bed, bathroom, and that's it in a hostel. But then he saw it and he was so excited about it. And he said, no, I really want to stay here. And I was just praying and I thought, do we have the money even? And my husband is taking care of all the money, so I don't see it, so I don't somehow need to stress out about it. I just need to trust Jesus that He will provide for both of us. So then that same evening, he felt on his heart to pay for everybody when we went out for dinner. And I thought, oh, okay, so well, that's a sign that we are financially somehow doing good, so I don't need to worry. And just before I wanted to ask my husband, before we went to bed, I wanted to ask him, hey, how are we financially doing? And then he said to me, well, Cheryl, I've not been looking at my bank account for a long time. I just gonna trust God that if He wants us to go to Colombia, He will provide also for us to be able to stay in Colombia.
We did not know anyone in Colombia. We didn't have any connection, any network. The worst thing is we could not even speak Spanish. We couldn't speak the language. So that was a huge thing. I mean, you can travel to a Latin American country, but if you do not speak Spanish, how are you going to preach the gospel? How are you going to reach people? How are you going to serve God there? It's pretty much impossible.
I really thought that my faith level in this area had really been growing. But then after he said that, it was like a stone just sink down in my heart. And I thought, I can't do this. I can't do this. I said, God, please help me. I asked for forgiveness. I said, God, I know You can provide, but my faith is very low right now.
Faith is not about when you see it, you do it. No, faith is to do something you do not see. Faith is trust. You trust someone, to trust God, that He will come, that He will be there. That is to have faith in Him. And so for us, it's like seeing a bridge that is not even built, but we need to cross over. So every time we take a step, a little of the bridge is getting built, and then a little more, a little more, a little more every single time we take a step. And this is how I've been with our lives ever since.
So I prayed, I took a shower, and then my husband, he said, hey, Cheryl, I've been praying. And I've been reading Luke 12, and it's such an encouragement. Was for me, and I really felt that God told me to share it with you as well, of how God is providing for the birds. And are we not more worthy than the birds? And it was just such a blessing when he was sharing everything from Luke 12. Then I said, okay, God, help me in my faith, help me in my faith. So we went to Colombia, and suddenly I got a message a few days later, and it was from somebody in another country and didn't know our situation at all. And this person had a dream about Lebo finding an Airbnb place, and he was so excited about it, and he showed it to me and this person. And I said, no, this is too expensive. And then she saw how sad Lebo was, and she just thought, come on, this is not so expensive, this is nothing. In the dream, this person saw an amount of money that they needed to give to us. And this was, the crazy thing is that this was exactly the amount for all our stays that we have been staying for 3 months in Colombia. So this was for me really special to see, not even to, of course the money was amazing to receive it, but for me to see that God still sees my, my little struggles, my little faith, and He wants to rise it up to a higher faith level. If we really understand of what it is to not worry, it really shows of how our Heavenly Father is. What a good Father, because think about it, if you are a child of a multimillionaire, you would never worry. Well, God has all the gold and silver in the whole world. But why would we still worry?
So is it for everyone? Is it for you and everyone who is around you to just quit your job and to live by faith? Yes and no. We're all called to serve God wherever we are. So yes, we're supposed to serve Him. We're supposed to be a missionary wherever we are. To be a missionary doesn't mean you have to travel to China or to Africa to serve God or to be a missionary. But to be a missionary is to be on mission for God. And we are on a mission for God everywhere. In your hometown, in your job, in your school, in your friend circle, in your family circle, you are on mission wherever you are to reach the lost. So that is one thing. You are called to serve God, yes. And yes, we're also all called to live by faith. Not live by faith like many people think, that you have to quit your job and sell your house and travel to India or something and rely on God financially in that way. No, to live by faith is to have faith in Jesus, to have faith in God wherever you are, to have faith that He will carry you through your job, through your day, to help you pay your bill, to pay your rent. This is to have faith in God. If you do not live by faith, then I don't know what you live by. So we're all called to live by faith. So that is one thing as well. But no, I don't believe that everyone is called to quit their job, to sell their house and to travel to Africa or to travel to South America. This is not what God is calling us to do, because if everyone would do that, every Christian would do that, then there will be no one in the job. There will be no one in your country or in your hometown to preach the gospel. You are put in your place for a reason, in your friend circle, in your family circle, in your job, because you are supposed to reach people there. And that is our calling, to be a missionary wherever we are. And there's a lot of people out there who are young, and they maybe see us, Sheryl and I, and they think, oh, they're living such an amazing life, and I have so many problems in my house, I have so many problems with my friends, I want to just travel and to do what they're doing and to experience the world. I want to say this, no. Don't do it. You're not supposed to do that. This is wrong. Because the reason you want to do this is because you want to get rid of your problems. You want to run away from your problems. And you're lazy. I want to say to you, you are supposed to stay where you are. You're supposed to go to school. You're supposed to work. And you're supposed to be faithful in what you are in right now. And not run away from your problems. And you're supposed to learn discipline and let God discipline you. Because God don't like people who are lazy. He don't want you to be lazy. So for you, stay home, serve God where you are. It's also all about the heart. It's all about, are we doing it for us or are we doing it for God? The most important for us is to have the right heart, to say, God, what do you want us to do? We want to follow you wherever you call us to go. And if it is to serve you by swiping floors, clean dishes, this is what we're going to do. As long as it is effective, as long as it is bearing fruit, as long as it is your will, God, we're going to do it. And that is the most important for us, is to have the right heart, to have the right motive, to just say, God, whatever you show to us, whatever you want us to do, this is what we're going to do. So this is my encouragement for you out there who are watching and who think that you want to do this as well. Examine yourself first. Are you running away from your problems? No, you do it because you want to seek Him first. You want to seek His kingdom first and His righteousness, and then He will add everything else to you. And that's the reason you should do it. So I hope this little message can encourage you, and yeah, we are in Mexico at the moment, and we are going to the United States very soon. We don't know what's going to happen after that, but we're taking one step at a time. And maybe, maybe in a few months we will have a place where we can settle down. Maybe not. It's up to God. So
I really hope this has been an encouragement for all of you and that has been strengthening your faith. And if you have any questions about it, please let us know. Just send us an email or comment below.
God bless you all who are watching, and
walk the walk and talk the talk.
Love you guys. See you on the next one.